your girl, Jo. Look, welcome back to another episode of Uncomfortable. If you are watching or listening in for the very first time, welcome. We are more than excited to have you here with us on tonight. If you are viewing for the very first time, listen, Uncomfortable is the place where we come and we do just that. We get uncomfortable. We talk about all of the nitty-gritty stuff, the things it is that people, they shun away from talking about, but there's no way it is that we can heal unless we talk about it. So I just want to do the honors at this time. Woo! And welcome Mr. Brent Broussard. Yay!
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there? Like Joe said, and let me reintroduce myself.
Come on, Brent.
My name is Brent P. Broussard, the CEO and founder of the Broussard Enterprise Group. Basically, what the Broussard Enterprise Group is, just kind of run it down before we get too deep into it right now.
Hey.
The Broussard Enterprise Group is a managing and consulting firm that houses two other entities that are under the LLC that the name is under. One of those entities is my beaded jewelry line, which is known as Beads by Brent. You can find my products at Earth Found inside the Northgate Mall here in Lafayette, Louisiana, right next to the Lowe's Boutique. If my memory serves me correct, that's going to be Suite E7 that the store is in. You can find it there. And the second entity that we're also going to get into is my nonprofit organization that's going to be named the Youth Leadership Initiative. I'm working on that and getting everything straight for that to start working with kids ages 12 to 18, teaching them life skills and everything necessary.
And listen, Brent gave the whole rundown to it, okay? So if you missed it, hey, it is fine, because we're going to wrap it back up again towards the end, and we're going to make sure to provide you with all of the information on how you can contact Mr. Brent P. Broussard. Come on, check me, get me all the way together. So our topic for tonight is called Hobby to Hustle.
Yes.
Healing, vision, and purpose. Listen, I think just the title and the topic by itself speaks enough volume.
Oh, definitely.
Hobby to Hustle. So because of that, I was sharing with Brent earlier is that I could relate to that even with being a business owner for myself, because that's how Juicing Joe started out. But since most people know about my story with it, go ahead and share with us yours. What did Hobby to Hustle look like?
Well, to really kind of get started, especially when it came to Beads by Brent, that all started as a therapy assignment.
Yeah.
And my therapist kind of gave me, and how that even came about was I was admiring the bracelets he was wearing.
Yeah.
And we ended up talking about it because in that session we were talking about patience and finding ways for me to not just learn how to be patient, but taking the necessary steps to calm myself down when I need to be a little bit more patient about things. And in that conversation, we talked about, me kind of doing something with my hands, and he gave me the challenge. So I looked at it like, okay, how the hell are you going to do
Listen, sir.
So, once we wrapped up, I said, let me just go to Michael's and try to find some of the stuff that I need so I can get started. And I started out with just wood beads at first, just so I can, figure out how to put it all together.
Figuring it out.
How to tie it right. Then I said, okay, well, I'm getting this. Let me go to Amazon and start ordering some of these gemstones and, different things like that. So once they started coming in, it all started coming together. I made 2 for me, made 1 for him, brought it back to him in my next session.
Come on, therapist.
And he was like, okay, so how do you feel? I'm like, I feel great.
Yeah.
So, he was like, well, if you feel great about it now, why don't you kind of turn this into a side hustle to make you some extra money?
Come on.
Which could also be, also lead to something greater.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, you know what? I think I'm gonna give it a try.
Right.
So, I started passing it out to, people that were close to me. They were like, these are beautiful. How much are you gonna sell them for? And I said,
figuring out that price for the people now.
Yeah, it's figuring out what's the right price, and then looking at others online too to really do the research. And I'm like, well, $20 to $25 seems about right.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, if I do custom bracelets, what's that gonna look like, and what's the price gonna be for that?
Yeah.
And it just slowly manifested itself into not just a side hustle, but almost a full-time business.
Yeah.
To where now I'm actually in the retail space and working on the second retail location to kind of expand and broaden my horizons.
Boss. Yeah.
So, that's where it all started.
But let's not overlook, because our subtitles for tonight is called Healing, Vision, and Purpose. So all of that was into one, but where it originally started was therapy.
Yeah.
And let me just say is, nobody won't talk about the therapy part.
No, I mean, especially for Black men, we have the hardest time talking about therapy, mainly because it's such a big stigma, especially for men to want to be not just the strong person, but we got to take on everything. We got to take on what the world is giving us. We got to take on what these other folks are throwing at us on the daily.
Right.
And with, Trayvon Martin and everybody else, we got to internalize all it, and we have no outlet.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to find an outlet after everything that I've been through in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And the best tool for me, and like I was telling Joe earlier, is actually 2 years today that I've been in therapy. It's a big help.
Yeah, and then you were able to find the therapeutic way in therapy to where you were able to use your hands, like how your therapist said, to utilize it to be productive. But not just that, but also to help with teaching you patience. So with therapy, I feel like so many people, they look down on therapy, because I know coming up, it was told crazy people do therapy. Crazy people
not
do
just that, just
counseling.
in the Black community, like we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
It's still a stigma for us to go to therapy.
But it's like, why? Because we all trying to internalize so much stuff and take in, but never wanting to let out. Why is that?
Well, I think for most of us, and I can say it myself, I internalized everything from when I got mad to whatever was going on. And it just kept building and building and building until it explodes out of me. And by that time, everybody's like, wait, what happened? Like, what's going on?
Brent went crazy.
Exactly, because a lot of people look at me like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So, we got to get out of that mindset that therapy is, this scary thing.
It's needed.
But it's a necessary need for us to have that outlet to talk about things and get some of that stuff off our chest, plus work on childhood traumas that we've been carrying with us all the way into adulthood.
Yeah.
And we don't know why we react the way we react when we get mad, or why we feel this way, or why we let certain people offend us, or like Pastor Ken says,
come on,
the tricks.
Pastor Ken been in that thing. Let me just shout out to Pastor Ken.
Big shout out to Pastor Ken on that.
Pastor Ken been in these triggers here, got me doing a whole self-evaluation.
Right?
And figuring life out all over.
You walk out of service like, man, I really got to think about what you just said.
I'm not journaling. I'm going to start writing some stuff down. But, with therapy, I feel as if from many conversations I have with people, as if they feel like the only time they do therapy is when things are bad.
But you got to do it when things are good too.
When things are good too. It's like, I mentioned to them, because I do personal therapy.
Yeah.
My kids do it, my husband do it, we do it together. Like, everybody just need their one person, because you ain't going to always tell everybody everything.
And you can't tell everybody everything, because you're going to have that one person that's going to tell you the wrong thing that you need to hear.
Or what they think it should be, or how it should be. Yeah.
And that's not always the best case.
Not always the healthiest either.
Exactly. It's never the healthiest when you're getting it from outside people that really don't know what's going on.
Right.
But, for me, there's literally not one time that I've ever left the session with a dry eye.
Man.
Like, it can get that deep sometimes.
Yeah, so it's true. Men cry. Ain't nothing wrong with that, okay? Men cry. And knowing that is like, my therapist told me stop saying that I'm not a crier, because I do cry. Yeah. But it's like something internally that have to happen. for me to them triggers.
Yeah, and it's normally the triggers that bring
that
that out.
brings it out of me. But when I do cry, it's like I'm just releasing.
Yeah.
All of it.
And it's a healthy release.
Yeah, and you can't put the tears back. So it's like once it goes, that's it. I'm
you
done
just gotta
with
let it flow in that moment.
Yeah.
Once it's over with,
move on. And hearing your story, the bits and pieces of it that you have shared with me, and seeing how therapy has positioned you to take what became a hobby, and turning it into a business, and your side hustle, and being productive and bringing in more income with it as well. But there had to be an overall vision of that as well.
Like, one of the biggest pieces about it was when I really started looking into what these gemstones meant, and also the history behind our ancestors wearing these gemstones. I said, well, this could be something that not just us, but everybody can wear and really get an understanding behind it.
History.
So, especially on the social media front, I would just post my bracelets. I'm posting what the meaning behind the stone is. So you can get that educational piece too. And it's like, oh, well, okay, that one works for stress, that works for anxiety, that one helps with depression.
Yeah.
Let me get some of this and wear it.
So let me ask you, what is some of the feedback that you have gotten from some of the clients and customers that you've had with your
initially a lot of people were just saying, oh, these are beautiful, these are great. But now I'm starting to get, man, I'm glad I came to you. Since I've been wearing that white highlight bracelet you made for me, my stress has gone down. I feel a lot better about myself, and I'm like, that's the whole purpose.
Yeah. So it brings, and you just said that, the whole purpose of it. So what I'm gathering, because I'm a thinker, I put things in my head. I'm just like looking at like the journey of it in the process. So you originally started therapy just to do inner healing for yourself, when people like Brent going crazy, get this brush.
To really be honest about why I started therapy was because in 2017 I lost my father, and then right at the height of COVID, I lost my grandfather to a heart attack, and he was in the hospital. We couldn't go. We couldn't do anything to say our final goodbyes. The funeral was 4 days later. You trying to process everything. And then it's adjusting to now I got to take care of my mom and my grandmother at the same time. And I'm still like trying to manage life with everything else that's going on in the world and the whole shutdown. And just at some point I said, I need to do something to get some of this stuff out. Yeah. And that's when I said, you know what? Let me look for a therapist. Let me find somebody that I can talk to. And 2 years later, here I am.
But Brent, let's not overskip that part there. You were able to do self-awareness.
Yeah, because, like I noticed, what was going on was I was starting to lash out at everybody else, close coming from my mom, my sisters, everybody, family, and everybody that's, really, really tight in my inner circle. And it really took me sitting down one day and really thinking like, okay, you've been doing this for too long. Why have you been doing this? What is really causing
what's going on? Yeah.
And it literally took me going to that first session, and that was the first question that he asked was, why do you feel like you have to do that? Yeah. And immediately that's when I sat back for like 2 minutes, and the tears just started rolling, and
that first therapy session. Being in all honesty, like that's real. That's true, and that's how it be. And I know for me, that's how I knew she was my therapist.
I figured it out in that moment too. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's you.
I got a black therapist. Yeah, I'll be coming.
It is you. But in the midst of even all that, give me or even everyone it is who's listening, because I think it's very important whenever we're able to make the self-awareness of it. Right. But what did your surrounding of people look like? I know you say you had people who were like, what's going on with Brent? Things are happening. He lashing out at anybody. But was there ever that person who pull you on the side to keep it 100 with you? You say, hey, bro.
Nah, it was. At first it was really me. I had to do the self-reflection.
Yeah.
And then, once I really said this was what I was gonna do, like I literally kept it to maybe 2 or 3 people that I actually told that I was going.
Yeah.
And they were like, if you feel you need to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, if y'all want me, if y'all giving that clearance, then I'm going.
Yeah.
And it started every week to, we cut it down to every 2 weeks, and now we're at once a month.
Yeah.
And now, I'm seeing the growth within myself.
Yeah.
'Cause instead of me lashing out like I used to, now I'm actually sitting back and thinking like, do I really need to get mad enough for that right now?
Let's do a multiple choice real quick.
right. It's like, do I really need to get mad at that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, let me chill out for a
Or is it even worth the energy of it?
Exactly.
That's what I had to learn in therapy. Like,
and I'm still kind of learning it because it's a process when you start and still going in it, and it's like, okay, you know what? I don't need to be mad at that.
Yeah.
There's no reason. I don't need to expand that energy like that.
Yeah. So if there is someone it is who is currently listening or even watching live, and for you were able to make the self-awareness of it, which many people are not able to do that. But if someone don't also to have those people around them, what if like certain things, I'm gonna call it triggers,
You can use that word
that you were able to like, not just the fact of, because people lash out. I know, like, you know what I mean? Like my children, I lash out on them. Not a bad look. Don't call them people on me, okay? But when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's a certain, volume of things that come up. Or, if I don't feel like myself or whatever, I feel like antsy with it. But what were some things besides like the lashing out that you were really able to notice and say, this is really not right? Because most people cannot do it on their own.
Yeah.
Most people tell people.
I mean, for me, it definitely was the lashing out part, but it was also the way that I was reacting to what people were saying. And that's where the trigger of being offended comes in, because you're not listening with the right filter, and you're hearing something that you really shouldn't be hearing. So another tool is I had to learn how to really listen to what people were saying and their tone and their delivery, which then helped me figure out, okay, do I really need to react that way? Or do I just need to sit back, chill, and then be like, okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah, and then having a conversation about it. Like, I've come to terms is, now not all conversations need to happen. I've realized that. But the ones that you know what I mean? The ones that is like with people who are really close and connected to you and like you really don't want to do life without them, all it takes is a simple conversation. Yeah. Like, it just takes a simple conversation.
Like one of the beauties about therapy is, those conversations with those people that are surrounding me have changed. And now I'm being a little more open with everybody. Yeah. And I'm stepping out of that uncomfortableness of not wanting to talk to people about whatever, what I'm feeling or whatever I'm going through. So now I can actually say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, and address it immediately, like right then and there, and know that I'm giving it in love and I'm going to receive it in love.
Right, and it's also healed a lot of relationships too. Because a lot of my long-standing friendships that I've had with people that we might have fell out over something crazy, we actually been able to talk about it and repair that friendship, and now we. It's good again.
Right. So therapy overall is not just good for the individual who's doing it, but it's for everyone connected.
Right, because everybody around you will see a difference in you as well.
Right.
And then they're like, hey, what are you doing that's got this little glow on you right now? And, as soon as I tell them that I've been in therapy, it's like, wait, what? How long have you been in therapy? Wait, you mean to tell me all this time you was having them doctor's appointments? That's where you was going?
That's where he was going. I'm going to the doctor, Chef. That's my business.
I was going ahead with me so I can come back and take care of everybody else.
Here. Now, let me ask you, did you notice to where, like, the people who you put yourself around started to change?
Yeah, definitely. Like, everybody started to change. They're not reacting the same way to things. they're being a little more cautious about what they say around me, or if they see my face frown up, then they know I'm either thinking or something else is going on. So then they kind of ease back a little bit.
Yeah. And did you choose just not to probably be around certain people no more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, by fault, I am.
As you change, they feel to that?
Well, no, it's more like I've always been the introverted extrovert anyway. So if I didn't feel comfortable with somebody, I'm not going to be around them regardless. But the extrovert side of me is like, nah, you got to be around these people. Let's try to heal some of this and let's work this out. Because, most of the people I'm talking about, I've been knowing them for 20, almost 30 years at this point. Pretty much almost grown up with them. It's like, nah, we got to talk this out and be about this to, really figure out what happened, why, we got into that argument, and, let's figure out and fix it.
Yeah, and most people don't want to do that. There are so many people that live life with so much bitterness in their heart, unforgiveness. It's just like, why? Like, why do you want to wake up miserable? Like, I know people, they have the saying, like, misery loves company, and those happy people keep that. I understand it,
it's false.
But that's still a choice. You choose to wake up that way.
You choose to be in a sour mood all day.
Yeah, you do.
I'd rather choose to wake up and be thankful that I'm able to wake up another day.
Right.
Rather than be like, man, what the hell am I
like with attitude, just
everybody with attitude. And nobody want to deal with you.
Yeah, but I do know through therapy that I had to learn, which we talked about it before, is the healthy boundaries of stuff. I remember going to a place one time, and the lady, she had asked me, she was like, hey, you never felt when I walked in the room like a little offness or whatever.
Yeah.
I say, no. I say, I choose to leave my sunshine with me everywhere that I go. Right. And I've learned, not just through scripture and prayer, but like, if it seems to be dark, I'm going to be the light and I'm going to show up. So either people will like it or they not. Light likes light. Darkness don't like it. So they will flee if they have to. But I'm going to choose my happiness and my joy.
And not let anybody steal that happiness from you.
And that's something from within. Because it's not something it is that it's freely given, but you have to choose to receive it.
Exactly.
You have to choose to receive it.
Yeah.
So we talking about healing, vision, and purpose. Talk to me about so let me ask this question. Before going through therapy, what was your idea of what the purpose or what you thought your purpose of life looked like compared to now, Brent going through his healing and processing things more, realizing the triggers of things? Is it different?
Oh, it's definitely different because, with everything that I've been through in these last couple of years, it's like, well, what was my purpose?
Yeah.
And even at one point I thought about, well, what the hell am I really doing here on Earth? And
you question it, yeah.
Because, when you start losing critical people that are big influences on your life, like my father and my grandfather were, it's like, well, who else can I go to talk to when I need to talk to about certain things that I can't go to my mom about or my sister or anybody else. Yeah. And that was another big reason why I kept internalizing so much because I didn't have that outlet anymore. Mm-hmm. So once I said it was time for me to find somebody, or eventually I probably would have done something.
Right. And that's true. That is true.
I mean, even after losing my father, I went through, a little bit of depression, and I was literally drinking every night, eating unhealthy foods. And by the time I looked up, it's 2 years later, and I'm going to the doctor, and he's like, do you realize you're like 20 pounds away from being 300 pounds right now?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, wait, what?
How happened?
What? What you mean?
Yeah, it will do it.
And then, he started rattling off all the diseases. He was like, if you keep doing what you're doing, you pre-diabetic, you're going to have hypertension. Yeah. Which that's already prevalent in the family.
Your BMI is already through the roof.
Right.
You about to have the aches and pain, author about to come start visiting.
Look, I was already getting them aches and pains in my head. And, waking up in the morning, like, feeling like, I'm still tired. What the hell?
Listen, it was some decisions that we had to make early in the year, and most people who are connected to us, they know 2020, 2021. After 56, we stopped counting the people that we lost.
Yeah.
Like people, tangible
Yeah.
people. Sometimes one week we had 4.
Yeah.
A few weeks later we had 3 in 1 week.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, people say it, it's they're transitioning. I get that, got that understanding. But when it's people who are so connected and
when you start
vital to
losing
you,
those family members, that
right?
you close to,
Suddenly,
just dropping at
that
you know.
does something.
Because like
to
that's
you.
how it was with my grandfather. Like literally on a Friday, he started feeling like he was having a heart attack. They brought him to the hospital, and he literally passed Easter Sunday morning. So it was within not even the 72-hour period.
Yeah, just gone.
Yeah.
And I know for me, the people who were around me in that time frame, it mattered.
Oh,
if you it was not me looking at it from a selfish perspective, but looking for me, the people who were around me, how you see me mattered. Not just calling and texting, but are you showing up to my front door?
Yeah.
Are you coming like, hey Joe, like what you got going on? And I remember having a conversation with someone one time and telling them, don't expect nothing from me.
Yeah,
I'm no good.
I heard that a couple of times as well.
I'm no good to you right now. Yep. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't asking me for something, because it was dealing with all the debts, the ones that had just happened, and then in February I had to do jury duty. Oh my God, that was a whole nother situation, mentally. So where my headspace was, I was no good for nobody, and I felt like because people were still trying to pull on me.
Yeah, because even though you're trying to grieve and you're trying to figure out what's the next steps, and everybody's pulling you from 80 different directions, and it's like, well, damn, when do I get time to myself?
Can you just leave me alone?
Can I get 5 minutes to myself right quick?
Not even that. It'd be days.
Yeah.
I just need to process it all. And that, for me, that looked like something. So I know during that time frame, the people who come knock to the door matter.
Right.
Because you can't check upon me.
Right.
You can't
you
see
picked up
me.
that phone and it was like, hey, B, you all right? You good?
Yeah.
Do you need anything right now?
But you see, with that, to me, I have to argue with that sometimes.
Because some of it don't be genuine.
It don't be, but at the same time, it's like, for me, if I know you need something, I'm not going to ask you if you need something.
Exactly.
I'm going to be like, hey, I know you never ate whatever, hey, I'm going to do whatever,
right.
way to tell you. I'm not going to wait for you to tell me you need something when I know the very thing that you need. And for me, that time frame, I don't need to tell you what I need. I need you because of our connection and you feeling me just give it to me.
I mean, even for me, after losing my father, I moved to Baton Rouge, for work, because I was working at the AT&T call center at that time.
Yeah.
And it was me leaving my mom at home by herself. And I was kind of worried about her and worried about what, what's on her mind and what she's thinking. Because she's processing, she just lost her best friend, her husband, the breadwinner, and everything else. And then your son is 45 minutes away. So it was me literally coming home on days off to take care of her, go by my grandparents, do everything that needed to be done over there, going around the corner to my great aunt to check on them, and putting me on the back burner at the end of the day. And by the time I would get back to my apartment in Baton Rouge,
you tired.
I'm drained, I'm tired. As soon as I crossed over that hump, I was stopping at the little corner store to get me a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm looking, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I done drank 3 of them.
Tell the truth what it is. And there are so many people who are doing the exact same thing even right now. It's a period of time. 2020, I say, ain't nobody should be expecting them from nobody anyways, because listen, we all
everybody is going through
some stuff.
Everybody. Some stuff in 2020.
And I feel as if the people who I knew that, helped me with my stuff is the people who I feel like God has currently have them exactly where they need to be. Because now I'm at a place to where I don't hesitate to call for help.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Before I'd be like, I'm not calling because you need me.
Calling in person.
Yeah, but now I'd be like, sis, what you doing? I need you to, you coming? Where you at? You in the neighborhood? Come over and come see me. Or if not, I'll call them. Hey, I'm going to stop by real quick. I just need to talk. I feel more comfortable and at ease with doing that as for before. Like how we talked about it a couple of weeks ago is I don't feel like I gotta be that strong person.
Yeah, you can be weak every now and then.
Yeah, and
somebody
it's
else
okay. It's okay to do that, but so many people feel as if they have to be the strong one. They have to be the go-to person.
In those moments, I felt I had to be the strong person because, my mom is, getting older. She just turned 71 2 weeks ago. My grandmother is going to be 95 in February of next year. So it's like, I got to find that happy medium to take care of them, but also I got to take care of me at the same time.
Yeah. So let's ask the question is, what did that look like for you?
A whole lot of running. A whole lot of running because I was going everywhere every week.
Yeah.
Like literally getting medicine from one, bringing this one to a doctor's appointment, going back doing this, and just really running myself to the ground and not taking care of my health, not taking care of my needs, and really putting myself on the back burner.
Yeah.
So where I had to be like, okay, you know what? You got to learn to say no. And be comfortable with saying no.
That N-O word, Lord, people get offended by that N-O word.
Especially if it's your mama, because, mamas like to put that guilt trip if you say no.
I can't use a nana. My mama don't do that, but I'm just saying I've heard mamas do that.
Right. Or sometimes my mom was like, but I don't have nobody else to do. All right, cool. I got it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. So it's now like she's understanding.
Yeah.
I gotta have my space, and she's gonna hear no every now and then.
Yeah, and to know there's a such thing called healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
You have to put those things in place because I tell my husband, I tell my kids all the time, if I'm no good to him, I'm no good to you.
Right. I can't pour into nobody else if my cup is
empty.
And half the time I was with everything I had.
Besides that six-pack, huh?
Right. That was about the only thing that was empty at the time.
Yeah. So it's like, you have to understand, like everybody, like how Pastor Ken tells us, everybody's running their own race.
Yes.
And our races all look different.
And it's all going to look different.
Yes.
Everybody has a different purpose in life, and they got to figure out what it is and then figure out how to work it.
Right. And with understanding that is that, hey, we're supposed to help each other.
Yeah.
I may help a little bit more than you do sometimes, but sometimes you may help a little bit more than I do. But we have to balance. But you still got to bring that almost 50-50.
Yeah. Even sometimes it's got to be that 60-40 or that 70-30.
Yeah. Sometimes. But
not all the time.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
I won't do 70% all the time. Let me hold 20 real quick.
Give me a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'll take the slack next time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is great. I didn't even know all that.
Yeah, it was deep. Like, the beginning of 2019 when I went to the doctor's appointment and he rattled off all those diseases, I'm like, Doc, what can we do to fix me? Because if I keep going, I probably won't be here too much longer.
Yeah. Which, let's not overlook that D word. Nobody wants to talk about the D word.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about it, but we got to go to those checkups. And we can't be afraid to hear what these doctors are going to tell us. Because, one, they have the expertise, and two, they know what what's best to help you get to where you really need to be as far as health-wise.
Right.
Now, after rattling off all those different diseases, I'm sitting up there like, okay, what can we do? To start off, I'm gonna put you on this no carb diet. Wait a minute, doctor. Did you forget where we live?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
I'm like,
I like my seasoning.
I'm
because I have
like, what you mean?
to it. Yeah.
Nope. So I can't eat no pasta, no bread, none of that. You're like, yeah, you'll be fine.
And you'll be fine.
I'm like, no, that's.
But why is it that we think if we go without eating certain things that we just go drop dead? Like if that's just the end of it.
Look,
for us. Like,
cause I mean, like I was thinking about what I was eating, and I'm like, hey, how the hell am I going without that? But then, once I really started going to the store and buying some of the stuff that I needed and getting the wheat bread instead of white, and getting wheat pasta, and then incorporating more vegetables into the diet than anything, that's when I started seeing weight start to come off.
Oh, not this.
This okay. All right. And then, once you start going, getting into the gym and working out.
Start seeing them results now.
Yeah, because I literally went from weighing 280 pounds to now I'm at 215.
Hey, come on, Brent.
Yeah. Now, it's still a battle. It's still a battle because it's like, I know I want to eat,
it's
bag of candy or, all this other stuff, but I am getting older. This ain't gonna come off as easy as it did when I was 20.
My mama told me that all the time. She said, Joe, it's just not the same. It's not as easy as it was back in the day. Like, as you get older, it gets harder.
It gets harder and harder to lose weight.
Yeah, it really does. Now, with saying all of that, I know we talked about the first D word, which was going to the doctor, which my daddy, I don't know why he got this thing in his head, my biological daddy, that if he go see the doctor, that's it. It's Dr. D for doctor and D for dick. I'm like, Daddy, that's not the way how it works. Like,
always,
they go find.
That's not always the way it
something
is.
That you gotta go see.
Right, because even now, as I'm getting into my 40s, there's that one exam that us as black men need to go do. And, especially with prostate cancer, it's like, it's heavily prevalent in the men in my family. So I actually started going to the proctologist early, just to even, really get into the routine, but it's still my least favorite appointment. That's the one appointment I really dread.
You don't look forward to going to that one.
No.
Yeah, but let's too talk about the other D word. And I know for me, I'm gonna just share my truth with it. Depression literally knocked at my door.
Yeah, like it did. It's knocked at my door a couple of times over the years. And losing my father, like I said, losing my grandfather in 2020, it really hit in that time period. Because my father was everything to me. He wasn't just my father, he was my best friend, my confidant, my financial advisor. Literally, if I needed somebody to go to, if I couldn't get to him, then I really had nobody else. Unless, I would go to my great aunt's house and get her perspective on things. But, if I didn't want to talk to her, I would talk to my dad about it. And losing that, it was like, I really don't have anybody to talk to about those necessary man-to-man conversations anymore. And of course, by that point, my grandfather was well into his 90s and he was on his own thing, and, it is what it is. But, just losing that one-on-one conversation with him, I really fell into a depression, and then still going to work, still
showing up.
Even though, like, damn, why am I really here?
Questioning everything. Like, I really don't need to be here.
And then, there's also, the days where you're like, I really don't feel like going to work. I can't. I just started over here. I don't want to get these points. I don't want to lose this job. I need these benefits.
You still have to show up because people are still depending on you.
Right.
That was my feeling of things.
Right.
It's like, do y'all not see? Like, I'm depressed.
Right. Like, so, it's going to work with that fake smile.
It was all.
And then, it's got to translate to the customers that I was talking to. But then by the time I clock out, it's like,
nobody cared about me. Like, and I knew people did. And that's why I said earlier, you showing up to my front door, that spoke so much volume.
Right.
to me, because it was like, okay, I'm texting Joe,
And
why are you not responding to me?
like even the crazy part was when I moved to Baton Rouge, like at least the first 3 or 4 months that I moved, nobody was coming holler at me. Like nobody was calling, nobody was texting. I really felt alone unless I called my mom and my sister.
Yeah.
Or, whoever else I needed to talk to in that moment. But outside of that, I was literally by myself in that apartment. Like,
what the heck is been going on? And I feel as if that's why I know for me, I value my friendships, my sisterhood so much, because I tell them all the time is that where you currently see me at right now, homegirl ain't always been there. I ain't always been there. I've been the single mother. I've been the club chick. I've been the side chick. I've been, you know what I mean?
We're not going to talk about
I've been, but you have to share it because that's how the overcoming of things happen from the sharing of your testimony. Right. So I don't mind sharing my journey because I always look back to what God has brought me through because I know His goodness and His mercy. It literally follows me. But knowing of where I was then to where I'm currently at right now, this very moment, like it literally is only by God's grace, not man's grace. Only by God's grace.
Joe, I truly feel the exact same way. Because just with everything that's happened in the last 5 months, business-wise for me, I know it's not just me doing this by myself.
It's God.
Yeah, it's all God. And, like, even with the 1K in the spotlight, when that came about, like, I literally looked at my phone and I was like, wait, what? Huh?
You see me?
I'm like, then, like, I had to sit back and I'm like, oh. And the tears just started flowing. I'm like, this is what I asked for. This is what I prayed to you about.
Manifesting.
And you slowly manifested it day by day.
Yeah. And to see it, I came into with 2020, 2021. I came into 2022 like, you know what, God, just blow my mind this year. Like literally, I remember writing it on a board in my office at the time, saying, Joe, God is going to blow your mind this year. I did not know what that was going to look like.
Even writing it on my vision board, just things that I wanted business-wise and what I wanted to happen.
I'm like, okay.
Initially it was moving slow, and where I can honestly trace it all back to was when I made the decision to get baptized. And like I will never forget, when I got in that pool, I was literally crying. And, Alice was trying to talk to me. Now, it's cold in the pool. I'm trying to talk to him, but I'm saying I'm crying and shivering. Everybody looking. And then when I came back up, I just felt something. And ever since, it's been one thing after another.
And it's falling into place.
Slowly falling into place. And, I really feel like God put me in the right places to meet the right people that I needed to meet to really get me to where I need to go to really fulfill this vision that He gave me 10 years ago.
Listen, Brent, you just said a whole mouthful of things. And let us just be honest with it, is that where God is taking you, not everybody
can
meant to go there. But at the same time, too, where you start off with your community of people may not be the same place where you end with your community of people.
Right, and those people are going to change over time.
It's going to change, but you have to understand, too, is with everything, it comes with a season. Not all seasons last. Some seasons have to come to an end. But I know for me,
same thing with people, too.
Yeah, it comes to an end, and it's no heart or anything feeling to it. It's just that I knew for me, I knew what God was telling me and instructing me to do, and I had to obey. And I knew in my obedience,
I'll be honest, even before making that decision to get baptized, I am talking to God about it.
Yeah.
So like, do you really want me to get in this water? Like, is this really what I need to do? And that's when I really sat back and I was like, you know what? I'm turning 40 this year. Let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
something is going to manifest out of it. And literally since then, it's one thing after another.
It all starts with a decision, and I truly believe that obedience over sacrifice. I'm willing to sacrifice whatever for me to obey.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna obey, and I know for what God reveals and what He shows to me is not meant for nobody else to understand it or to know what that looks like. But I know when He revealed it and He showed it to me, and I don't go with it because I have done that before. Right. I have disregarded it, not done it, and like, no, God, that can't be it. And I knew He is here. Yeah. I got it for you. What is you doing? Right. I just need you to go here.
I mean, to be honest, like even the whole journey with the nonprofit, He initially gave me the vision for it back in 2012. But I wasn't fully ready for it back then. So then I tried picking it back up in 2015 and, trying to do it with somebody else, and that fell apart, and I was like, you know what? Let me just leave this alone.
Yeah.
And it was literally 3 months before my dad passed, we had a conversation, and he asked me about it. He was like, why are you never looking into it if that's really something you want to do? And I'm like, there's no need for me to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when they said, no. When the right time comes, you're gonna see
God will make a way.
And it's gonna come slowly to fruition.
Yeah.
You just gotta be patient and understand it.
And obey.
And at that point I was like, you know what? I'm listening to you, but now
it ain't making sense to me though. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so to kind of fast forward, and we're gonna get into accelerating on side, of course.
Yeah.
But even with that, like when I saw several people that I knew, like Kelsey Sanders that was in last year, Leah Porter was also in it, Tina Shelvin Bingham was always also in that.
Now for this, not to cut you off, now we're talking about accelerating Northside.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I saw they were in it, and I talked to them about it, they were like, you need to get in this class. This is going to help you. You're going to understand what you want to do for the business. And you really figure everything out, and they're going to give you the resources to figure it out. So I said, okay, cool. I applied for it, got in, and literally the third week of class, I'm sitting on a Saturday morning. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I got my little cup of coffee.
Come on, let's do this.
and I got to drop out my boy Corey Jack's name because he was the speaker that morning, and we were talking about business plans. And the light bulb went off, and it was like, dummy, that's what you didn't have when you initially talked to the Small Business Center when you went back in 2015.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and figure out how to do this. Let me figure this out.
And let's not just overlook that, because just because you see it and it may be revealed to you, it may not be the season to do it just yet, because you don't want to do it prematurely.
That was the thing, because looking back on it, I didn't have the information that I have now, and I didn't have the resources that I have now to really put it all together.
Yeah.
So after having that light bulb aha moment, it's like
the people around you.
It's like, let me go talk to this brother Corey Jack over here. Let me get to know this dude. And when we started talking, he told me about his nonprofit journey, what he was going through initially and where he was now with it. And I was like, yo, can you help me with mine?
You just said something. Can you help me? We cannot be too scared to ask for help.
And like, this is one of the greatest things about Accelerating Outside. They will teach you to step out of your comfort zone so you can have those conversations with people that you need to.
Yeah.
Because had I not had that conversation with Cora, I probably would still be the same place I was in.
Let me put it down for right now. I'll pick it up later.
I'll for about 5 more years from now.
Yeah.
But having that conversation with him and him actually putting me under this program that he has with one at JoHanna, which is how the spotlight even happened.
Listen, that's how I'm like, I see that. I say, ooh, great. We gotta bring you on uncomfortable. You know,
right.
Like For real. Like, that's just how it happened. And it's like, we got to make this conversation happen. Yeah. But talking about accelerating the art side, like if there's anyone it is who's listening or even watching, how is that something that they can get more information about?
Actually, I had a conversation with one of the guys, Jonathan Shirley, who is over the Accelerated Art Side program. It's a 6-week business program that's offered by UL Lafayette and the Louisiana Entrepreneurial and Economic Development Center. That's in the Light Center, on campus.
The egg.
The egg building. But what they do is they have this program to where the actual cost is $425, but it's one off of a grant to where they can cover the $400 and you only pay the $25 for the 6-week class. Now, in the 6 weeks, you have to commit to that time.
Accountability.
Because there's a lot of information that you're going to get in every class.
Yeah.
Like, they go through business plans, your marketing, and pretty much everything else. It's basically a 6-week MBA program. But it's all condensed into the 6 weeks. And when I tell you, not only do you gain the knowledge about whether if you have a side hustle that you want to turn into a business or an existing business like the juices, you can actually structure it the right way to where it's a legal business and not just a name and a hobby.
Put it on my house,
Yeah, you can actually
a location.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that, it's usually about 50 to 60 other entrepreneurs. Most of them are going to be Black entrepreneurs, but there are going to be some white people. And, out of the 3 sessions that they've had well over 140 participants just within these 3 sessions within a year and a half.
Yeah.
And there's Sweet on V that came out of it. Leah opened Park Village.
Yeah.
Kelsey is, still doing her food services. There's bakers that have come out of it. T&J Soul Food, they were in the class with me as my good friends.
That's my people.
Yeah.
Cousin Lily and Uncle T.
That's my people right there. I love them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be by Sunday for a week.
I do need to go to the new facility too because I haven't been. I've been all over the place doing other things, but I gotta go on a Sunday too. But a lot of people have come with different ideas.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are seeing the success come out of it.
Yeah, and the fact that it's something that is available to us on the north side of town.
Right. And part of the reason is because if you really look at the north side of Lafayette, it's becoming an economic desert almost with all of these different, grocery stores. And I mean, literally, you can almost say that Arcade Mall is just like 5 stores. And I just read an article earlier, Planet Fitness is getting ready to move into the old Winn-Dixie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so that's almost going to leave another space open.
Yeah.
So it's like, you see the need to build up the north side again to bring in the economic dollars. And there are other groups out there that are looking to bring in other businesses.
Right.
I mean, you see Aldi is getting ready to open around 5-10 soon.
Yeah.
And some other projects are going to be happening in that area. But it's a necessary need for Black entrepreneurs to look at it and be like, well, what can I do in the community that can bring in these dollars and bring in jobs?
Bring in the jobs for our people.
Yeah.
I love young kids.
And that's another thing too, is showing that next generation, hey, you can go to college, but if you choose to be an entrepreneur,
the resources and tools are there for you.
It's all there. And I know for me, just being in that program and meeting all of the different people that I've met in my class, we've literally become a family. And it's an ecosystem where I've talked to people from the first class, and I've even been and had the opportunity to speak at the class that they just had in the spring. Just to kind of tell.
So you going back and talking and speaking.
And that's another way to get out of my comfort zone because now I'm looking at myself. I'm not just a business. I'm a brand.
You a brand.
And
Yeah.
in order for me to fully be the brand, I got to step out of this comfort zone
Yeah,
of being this 50% introvert that doesn't want to be out in the open.
Yeah.
And now I got to be out there, and because of it, I've done several networking events with like the 705 and one at KDM, and some of these other events. And even this morning, I went to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. They had a small business conference.
Yeah.
So I went checked that out. Gained a couple more resources that I could need. To help me get the funding that I need to.
You gotta go network to get it.
Yeah.
And then the importance of that, is even to with our young kids, for them to be able to see us doing that and be able to teach them as we do it.
And
you know what I mean?
And as they're looking at us, they're like, well,
I can do this too.
If he can do that, well, I can do it too.
Right. Which brings us to now. Let's talk about the nonprofit.
Yeah, we can get into the nonprofit. Like I said, it's still in kind of the infancy stage.
It is done, so now we're speaking too.
Yeah, we're still manifesting things as well with the nonprofit. But like I said earlier, the nonprofit is going to be called the Youth Leadership Initiative. Right now, I have it listed as project because I'm still kind of figuring out some things and doing some more research on it. But eventually, I'm going to drop the project off of it and just leave it as Youth Leadership Initiative. But what I want to do is I want to work with 12 to 18-year-olds because I truly feel like that's the prime of your life when you're really starting to think about, well, where am I going to go to school, or what am I going to do at the high school? What do I want to be? Do I want to go into the military? Do I want to get a trade?
Because they have the uncertainty. They don't know what they want to do.
Because I think back to when I was 12 and 13 years old, I really didn't figure out what I wanted to do until I got to like my sophomore and junior in high school.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, you know what? Let me try this and let's see if this is gonna work. But if not, I need to fall back plan.
Yeah.
But also, kids nowadays are not getting taught how to dress properly for interviews. How to fully do a college application, how to do the college essay. And truthfully, nobody is teaching kids financial literacy.
No. And let us not leave off the part of there are so many households that are fatherless too. You know what I mean? So a lot of them, I know, like for me growing up in a single mother household, many people who know my story, my dad was in and out of jail. He was a drug addict. He chose the streets and stuff over us. So there were a lot of things that my mom was able to give us with what she had. Right. And a lot of that didn't involve the teaching part of it.
Right.
It involved doing.
Yeah, you got to do this, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Because even on my side of things, my dad was always gone every other week because he worked for ExxonMobil for 35 years.
Yeah.
So there were times where he would literally come home, and then 2 days later they were shipping him out to Nova Scotia to teach a class or somewhere else in Canada. Mm-hmm. So it was, figuring out that healthy balance of how do you deal with him being gone so often, and you got a crazy mama that's a principal, that's trying to raise kids halfway on her own, but she still had a support system around her to get us to practice or swim meets, whatever we were doing.
And our mamas was the best. Listen, I loved it. I loved my childhood. I loved what my mama did. I wouldn't go back and change.
I really can't change anything about my childhood.
I wouldn't.
I was truly exposed to everything. And it really shaped my mind and shaped, my habits and, what I was doing.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, with my dad being in the war, it was going to see the second lines and then the jazz influence and then seeing the bounce movement and all that culture and the greatness that's there. And it's like, this is me right here.
Yeah. And it speaks to like what's embedded, in us.
In some aspects, I think he was kind of shaping my musical mind and my musical repertoire.
Yeah.
Because, listening to like Fast Domino and all of those guys, and then, hearing No Limited Cash Money come out in the 99 and 2000.
Don't get me started, Brent. Listen, we live, share. We live.
But, it was a healthy meeting.
Yeah, and that's the way how I feel, but the fact of you having the nonprofit organization that's able to speak to and to help and mold and give somewhat of like, I'm gonna call it a stepping ground.
Yeah, because that's really what I'm trying to do is give them a stepping ground, but also show them exactly what they need and how they can attain certain things.
Yeah.
Because even with kids nowadays with cyberbullying and everything else that they're getting, with these wonderful smartphones that we carry, there's also the mental health side of it as well. But another thing that I really want to do is I really want to be able to pair them up with a professional mentor in whatever area that they're looking to go into, so they can get that true hands-on feel and really, see what the day-to-day is.
Yeah, someone to do life with them.
Yeah, and somebody to check in whenever they, when they not doing what they should be.
And listen, that's needed. I'm 30, whatever. But even to this day, with people who's in my circle, my people, you doing life with me.
Right.
You I don't know everything.
Because even now, like I look at Corey, I look at Jonathan, I look at Kevin Gilroy, I look at Dr. Jeffrey Stewart, all that came out of Accelerate Northside, and they are now my mentors. Not just in business, but life as well. Because I can talk to them about anything.
Yeah, and to know that that's possible.
Yeah.
So many people think like, oh, I'm looking and I need this person and I want this person, but do this person even exist?
Right.
The answer is yes. You gotta get out of your comfort zone.
And that's another thing too.
To get to them.
Like sitting in that class on the Saturday morning from 8:30 to 1, you're learning how to step out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I was always the one, if you saw me in the club, 9 times out of 10, I'm in the middle of the floor with a drink in my hand and dancing on somebody.
That's how we was. Don't talk about our past, Brent.
But I got to talk about that, to get this example. But on the flip side of that, like that's the extroverted side of me, but then there's the introvert that's like, nah, I don't feel like doing this tonight, I'm chill.
Yeah.
Or, if I'm in a professional setting, and if I'm not around people that I already know or not comfortable with, I'm the one standing on the ball, not talking to them. Or just, kind of listening back to see what's the right conversation for me to get into.
Yeah.
And if it's not right, then I'm walking away, I'm going somewhere else, or I'm out to both.
Yeah. You see, that's why I believe now, I'm so thankful for Uncomfortable, because I just do everything uncomfortable. Now, it's like before the little fear and, of things, I believe it was Joyce Myers who said it. She said, do it afraid. Do it uncomfortable.
Getting into the entrepreneurial space, you doing it afraid 9 times.
I'll be fear and trembling. But then once you do it, you find out it really wasn't even that bad. Like you had this whole thought process of what you thought it was going to be, and it turned out to be nothing like that.
Right, because that was my whole thing going into Accelerate Northside. I'm like, man, I'm probably not going to learn nothing in this class.
People will look at me like I'm crazy.
They
gonna ask me a question, I ain't going to know the answer. I'm going to sound dumbfounded. That's some of the thoughts you could go through my head.
Right, until you sit down in that first class and, you got somebody over here, somebody next to you, people behind you, a couple of rows up, and it's like, oh, okay, so there's other like-minded people. Yeah. And then they kind of force you before class starts to start talking to everybody.
Yeah.
And then that's when you hear, this person, is starting a restaurant, this person over here has a woodworking service and all these other things. And it's like, okay, cool. So if I need some carpentry, I can hit up my boy over here. Or if I need a cake, I'm going to call Mel and Sweet on V.
Yeah.
Or, if I can't get to Mel, then I got Melanie over here who can do it. Or I can call Miss Little Harding. There's different options for things that you need. And it's like, okay, it's a little ecosystem now. And like I said, we've literally become a family to where, if we have something going on, we'll post it in our Facebook group. and we applaud what we're doing.
Yeah, that is amazing, and I feel as if people like there's so many people who still live in that crab in a bucket mind mentality, and it's like, man, there's enough bread and stuff for everybody.
And that's another piece of it too, because I look at all of these other nonprofit organizations, and I'm like, we're all pretty much doing the same thing. We want to work with kids, and we want to bring them to excellence. But it's now, how can I work with all of these other groups and we become a collaborative mind?
Yeah.
And still work to a common goal, but work with each other instead of being, one nonprofit over here, one over here, and we're all segmented doing the same thing.
Yeah, and then too, there's a certain different uniqueness, I believe, because one thing it is that I even came to terms with, because I have my juicing business, and one thing that I tell people all the time is that my juicing is my juicing, their juicing is their juicing. So even though it's juicing, it's going to be a different acquired taste and experience and feeling that you're going to, have. So they all may be doing the same thing, but there's a certain thing that Brent P. Broussard brings to the table, with it. And that's great and it's amazing. It just excites my heart, to know that is an opportunity for our young kids.
Yeah.
Like, that is exciting.
I mean, like, I even look at it like this too, Joe. Like, there's a lot of kids in Lafayette that have never been outside of Lafayette.
They haven't.
And it's sad because most of their families don't have the means to get outside. Or if they ever do get away, they got to come right back.
They got to do a turnaround, come right back on. But I do believe, because I know we're servants at heart. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the ultimate goal that we have is for the community. Like, if I can do something to, put a smile on the kid's face, or just to make them feel a little different, feel a little handsome, beautiful, whatever the case may be, then I'm gonna do that, because I honestly, truly believe that a little seed, a little token, can keep them kids to go a long, long way.
Like I really look at it like from back in my childhood, and we were kind of getting into this early before we started. One of the things that my dad did with me when I was like 10 or 11 years old was he brought me to a barbershop, and the OGs at that time that were dealing drugs, literally outside, in front of my grandmother's yard, like they pulled me to the side and they were like, "Hey, look, we see you at your grandmother's house. We see you watching us, but we don't need you to do that. We know your family." You know what I'm saying? And when they broke it down like that, that's when it really put into my mind, I don't need to go down this path that some of my friends ended up.
It was Sunrise, which most people who know me know the story, but I'm gonna share it because we family, we uncomfortable here. Yeah. But it was Sunrise, senior year Sunrise. You know how we did ours on the side of the Popeyes on Willow. That's where we did ours. And there was, because growing up, keep in mind, my dad, he was an alcoholic and he was a drug addict. So my dad was always in the streets, in and out of jail. So I seen it, but not really understanding like really what it was. But at Sunrise, I remember they were smoking, the herb or whatever. And I never been one to smoke, or I just never had a taste for it. But me want to be big girl, whatever the case may be.
We've all been there.
I tried it.
We've all done it at some point.
When I didn't even put my mouth on it. I think it was what they call a charge.
Yeah.
And
they just kind of blew it in your face.
When I tell you all this burned up, oh my God. I thought I was literally dying. And since trying it that first time, I never touched it again.
Yeah.
Never. So I didn't need nobody to tell me. I seen it. I just never had like a, to want to try it. But I call myself being so sick, big girl at the Sunrise party and trying that. And it was a horrible experience for me. And I'm like, I don't need to be doing this.
Yeah, like, a lot of times, when you have those horrible experiences, it kind of forces you not to want to do it.
Yeah. I was like, this is not for me. Y'all can have it. Come bring me home.
Right, because I mean, even for me, like knowing the people that I knew growing up, they were in the streets. Me, I was just affiliated because I knew them. I didn't necessarily do what they were doing, but I knew what they were doing. I knew what was going on. I knew they had their pockets. You know, but I was the one that was smart enough to be like, you know what? I've already had that conversation. And then after that, my mom brought me to the courthouse to let me see inmates coming in and out. And at the time, I'm like, why the hell am I here?
What is this? I don't want to be here.
But then at the same time, I looked at it and I'm like, wait, she's teaching me a lesson that I need to learn.
Uh-huh.
You know?
It was, for me, it was, what's it called, JTPA?
Yeah.
It was called
JTPA.
You go, I did it at the Career Center, $3 an hour. You go to
That was back in the day.
For 7 hours, you got paid $21 a day. But we used to take field trips, and they took us to LPCC. Worst experience.
Oh no! Like,
my God! I don't need to be here.
I have even better. Like, I was at UL, I was studying criminal justice, and we took a trip to Angola.
I missed the bus my senior year for that.
Look, I still have it in my mind.
When
I walked in that dormitory and I saw 40 beds lined up, and when because there were a couple inmates that were sleeping at the time, but then you walk into the bathroom area and you see 5 stalls of showers, 2 urinals, and 2 toilets. It's like,
I don't need to be here.
Yeah, this is the only time that they gonna see me inside these walls.
Never again.
Nah,
Take a picture. It ain't happening no more.
Yeah, this picture.
Yeah, but you see, I really wish they would do all that.
And that is one thing that I kind of want to do, especially for our young black men, because they are so prevalent to be the ones to get into trouble.
Yeah.
And even now with kids getting in trouble for having guns and all this other stuff that they're doing, like, they need to see the consequences. Of those actions.
Yeah.
And like, one of the things that my dad told me growing up was the choices you make today will be the consequences you face tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that was something he used to tell me every time I would get in trouble, if I got suspended for a fight or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be the first thing he would tell me. Or he would ask me, what did I tell you last time we got in trouble?
Yeah.
Do you understand what that means now? Are you seeing the fruits of what you were doing?
No, child. We not. Well, I know we do our best to have the conversations with our kids, but we don't have those elders like that.
And that's the problem.
And
because
that's when we have to come and start stepping in.
Yeah, and like I told you, like, even in that day that I was at Broussard High, I couldn't finish in the class, I was watching these kids and I'm like, somebody has to be that person to guide them, especially our young black men. Because, they have to understand, you can't just talk to the police a certain way, or you can't move in certain ways, because you never know which one is going to be that trigger happy one to pull that trigger on you.
Like, you just never know. And it's using the wisdom of.
Yeah.
Use wisdom. Like, it's just for you. Like, we have our oldest son, and like, one of the things we do our best, with his upbringing, he my bonus son, is that I'm like, you ain't always gotta be right. Because at the end of the day, we need you home.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters. So if you gotta and come home, then you live like how Craig said. You live to fight another day.
Exactly.
So how we go in the right way on how we go fight this thing.
We can talk about it versus you getting that phone call that either got picked up,
or something worse. You know. So listen. I know we can go on and on and on and on. But this is so, like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a necessary conversation.
It's a necessary.
And a lot of people are not really having. But I guess out of this, I'm sure my phone is going to blow up today. And I'm going to get some phone calls tomorrow.
Because you never know, like, the person's reason of why they do what they do or why they act, they respond. And I remember Pastor Ken saying it one time, I believe it was Pastor Ken, that growth is inevitable, but change is a choice.
Yes.
You have to make the change, and you have to choose it. And one thing that I tell my husband and my kids all the time is that if God gives us free will, we got to do the same for you. Exactly. But you know what? Like how he tells us,
There's that boundary.
Or that. You gotta choose.
There's that boundary.
There's no gray area. It's no way of being lukewarm. So listen, Brent. Tell Brent P. Broussard. Let me get it right. So tell the people the name of your business one more time, how they can get in contact with you to order their bracelets. Once we have, which is already established, is now to get it going, the nonprofit, to where if they have any kids. Is it boys only or is it boys and girls?
It's going to be boys and girls, but I think more or less I'm going to focus on the boys a lot more.
Right, okay.
Because I kind of feel like they need a lot more push and a lot more guidance.
Because that's our daughters' future husbands and kids' fathers. So yeah, I understand.
But I am gonna have the girls in there too because the girls also need some guidance and things as well, and somebody to really teach them. Hey, you don't need to be busting them wide open on the ground like that, or you don't need to be doing what you're doing because that can lead to other things that can lead to bigger problems.
Yeah. My daddy used to tell me when I was younger is that if you don't respect yourself, you can't expect nobody else to respect you.
Exactly.
And that stuck with me all the time.
A lot of young ladies today do not have respect for themselves.
But you know why? It's not being taught, or even it's not being modeled in front of them.
Another big part of it too, they don't have that father figure in their life.
Yeah.
And it's sad for both boys and girls.
That's a huge thing in our community, but we go get to that.
Yeah, we working on that.
But it's something that needs to be talked about because it is real. Like
it's real. Very real.
It's real up in these streets. So how can the people contact you, Brent?
Definitely. Once again, the name of the LLC is the Broussard Enterprise Group. Like I said earlier, it is the managing and consulting firm for the Youth Leadership Initiative project right now until I can get everything situated for that. But also for Beats by Brendan, like I said, you can follow both the Facebook and Instagram. She was like, I see every time you come in, you always, buy stuff, and you always, like, a couple days later, you made a bracelet out of it. Or you come back, and I'll be literally in there, like, once a week. And, depending on how many orders I have or what I need. And, just going to scope out what they have. But she was like, look, this is what I'm doing in the original location. Here's an application. More than likely, I'm going to, accept you. Because I see what you're doing. I like what you're doing.
She's seen the process of it.
Yeah. From the very first moment I walked in to me going in with different ones and buying different ones and even talking to her and her staff about it and getting, the necessary information about the beads. It was kind of organic. And she was like, yeah, I can give you a booth that's going to be, in this location. And, if you have somebody that buy from you, they can come pick it up here, or they can still get it from, the social media.
But you got that location, though.
Yeah, but I got that first location locked down. And, currently working on the second location. I'm not going to speak on it just yet. because I'm still kind of talking to him
But
on the
when we get it,
background.
it's gonna be posted though.
Yeah, oh yeah, it will be posted soon when the second location was worked out completely and everything.
Yeah.
Just to kind of broaden the horizons and everything.
Yeah. And the purpose of it is expanding.
Yeah.
Of it all.
Yeah,
it's
expanding and getting more territory and more eyes and more people that is looking at it like, okay, we see it. Now, also eventually I'm going to be doing some pop-ups during the fall on weekends. Probably at, different events and, also at the flea market. Yeah. Just trying to, get other ways to not just generate money for the business and myself, but also, getting the word out there of what I'm doing and, what these gemstones are.
Awesome. So look, Brent, I thank you for coming and having a conversation.
Before we end this conversation, I do have a little something for you.
Now y'all know Joe like gifts and stuff, right?
Yeah, if I can just get it out of my bag. It's all the way in here.
That's all right. We got the time.
Yeah, I got so much of it. I actually made a couple of beads for you when I have some actual verses today.
And you got my name? Yeah. Man, you thought about me. And did you know yellow was my favorite color?
No. I kind of figured it, but I was like, man, let me just do a little something for it.
Man, look at this.
And I also got you guys some matching bracelets as well. Yeah.
You got my name on it. I'm not gonna cry.
No, you don't have to cry.
But let me tell you, how I said earlier, I love when people see me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, truthfully, you never know what eyes are on you.
Yeah.
Because now, especially after the one came in the spotlight.
No. We can't bring, we can't drop that. No.
Yeah, you good. You good. But even after the one that came in the spotlight, it's now I'm seeing more eyes are coming on me because I'm getting requests every day just on, the Instagram and the Facebook pages. But also my LinkedIn page has grown sporadically in the last 2 weeks.
Man.
So it's like more eyes are on me, and I'm really like, okay, yeah, I'm really a brand. Or in the words of Jay-Z, I'm a business man.
Come on, business
man. More than just a businessman.
Listen, we done. We done. You got my name. You got my yellow is my favorite color.
Well, see.
Yellow is my favorite color. Like, you see me, and without me saying nothing. Okay, y'all. Like this is like a love language to me. That I love this. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So y'all make sure to follow Brent P. Broussard, so that way y'all can get y'all beautiful bracelets just like mine, but mine's special, okay? It is very special. We'll be looking out for the nonprofit organization, Accelerate Northside.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, being that we've kind of talked about it for a while, they are going to be starting applications within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking about starting in the middle of October. I just talked to Jonathan Shirley this morning at the Hispanic Small Business Conference. And, we were talking about when the next class is going to be and, when that's going to happen. So just pay attention to my page. I'm probably going to post it.
As soon as I see it, I'm going to blast it on mine. I may even go sign up for it.
I'll gladly tell you right now. Yeah. Sign up for it, take the class, and soak up this knowledge that
So this was good. This is great. Listen, we gonna go ahead and wrap up another episode of Uncomfortable. We did some talking. My prayer overall is that the listeners and anyone it is who's watching, that you pulled something from this to where it sparks a conversation within yourself, to where you're starting to notice things about yourself that you're very unhappy with, or even that B word, depression, to where not everyone is as strong and able to realize it within themselves, the self-awareness. But if you're noticing some things that's different and out the ordinary for yourself, don't be afraid nor be ashamed to seek the proper help that is needed. And you never know, you may go and doing therapy, find a therapeutic thing, and maybe be able to turn it into a whole business as well. But the depression is real. Be a light to somebody. You never know how people's days are going, and you know how you can just make them smile and just deposit something so good to them. So, you have any last words for the people?
Oh,
Brent?
definitely for anybody that is listening. You never know who's paying attention to you. You never know what eyes are on you, especially if you're trying to be in the entrepreneurial space.
Yeah.
But definitely keep grounded, stay focused in your word, and build a support team around you that can help you. And you never know who can be that person to get you to the right person, to get you to that person that you need to talk to.
It's the connections
Yeah.
of everything, and it's the community and the networking. So don't be afraid. Step out. Get uncomfortable.
Get out of that comfort zone and be that person that you really need to be.
Yeah, and just do it, regardless if you're afraid, scared, whatever it may be. Just do it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out in prayer. God, we just thank you, Lord God, just for the time it is that we've had together and the conversation, Lord God. That was so fruitful and so edifying to us. I just pray, Lord God, that anyone it is who is listening or even watching, that you permeate their hearts in a way like never before, Lord God. Spark something up on the inside of them that brings them to a place of being able just to have discernment within themselves, Lord God, and self-awareness to seek the help and to find the people and get their community around them to help build them up into being the person it is that you have called them to be. We thank you, Lord God, for this time that we had together. And God, you just continue to blow our minds in ways like never before. We give you all the praise and give you all the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Uncomfortable. And hey, go out and live an uncomfortable life.